Barry Trotz weighs position versus talent at the top of the draft. We'll tell you how this draft philosophy may eliminate a top player from the Predators shortlist.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy best day of the week to everyone. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen of this Thursday. We are, of course, your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off our Thursday episode shouting out our Locked On Predators insiders and our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio and Friends. I have a partner in crime.
You do. I am Emma Lingan, and I am an NHL reporter and host with the Hockey News.
Well, Tuesday, we got a chance to sit down with Barry Trotz and talk about a number of topics, but really the big focus of that conversation, of course, the upcoming 2025 NHL Draft. Trotz kind of pulled the curtain back on some of Nashville's draft philosophies, and that has us wondering if perhaps one top-ranked player may not be on the Predators shortlist. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to discuss how likely a hockey trade with that 5th overall pick could be, and just how many players we think Barry Trotz is going to fly back to Nashville with. So, Emma, we are a day away. One day more, as they say in Les Mis. I won't go through the rest of it, but you all know I know it. We know it. One more day. One more dawn until the NHL draft. How are we feeling? How are we feeling so far? Like getting there.
I'm ready for it to be over with, to be quite honest with you. I think we're so done with the draft, the mock drafts and the speculation and all of the rumors, all the lies, Elliot Friedman saying it like it is, everybody lies. And I don't know. There's a clothing brand called Boys Lie, and if it wasn't so expensive, I would buy things. I would buy all of the things from it because I'm like, Boys Lie, especially when they are sitting in NHL front offices around the draft. They be lying. So
we need to add that to our hockey. We need to make GMs lie. That's what we should be wearing. We should be wearing matching GMs lie swag to the next draft,
and they would be much more affordable than the other brand. But yeah, I'm ready for there to be some sort of finality to this, and we can actually talk about real things and not just hypotheticals. As we are about to get into an episode talking about hypotheticals, ready to not be doing that anymore. So
yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like we're really chewing on this. Tomorrow, the day of the draft, we're going to we're going to do the thing Emma and I hate. We're going to make some predictions. You know that causes us anxiety, but we're here to do the work for the people. You know, we have talked a lot about a lot of players. We've talked about Michael Misa. We've talked a lot about James Higgins. We've talked about Caleb Desnoyers. We've talked about Brady Martin. We've talked about Anton Frondell. Here's a player, Emma, that you and I really haven't talked about at length. And I think we need to talk about why we haven't talked about Porter Martone a lot. And get into this. Porter Martone, of course, this is a player that's expected to do very well in the draft. There's a lot of Porter Martone to love. 6'3", over 200 pounds. Played in the OHL last season, 57 regular season games, 37 goals, 98 points. I mean, this is a guy who scores goals. So why haven't Emma and I been talking about him? Emma, why haven't we talked as much about Porter Martone as we have Desnoyers and Higgins and Misa and Brady Martin?
Because he's not a center.
He's not a center.
You need a center. If you're Nashville, and that's my belief anyway. We have not talked about him though, because he is not a center. He is a very talented winger. with some elite qualities as a
Mhm.
winger, elite scoring ability for sure. But he's not a center. And I think that's, that's where a lot of people kind of get hung up.
Yeah, and I think it's something that's worth talking about because he is a highly touted prospect. He is going to make somebody very, very happy. So why aren't the Predators saying, man, with the fifth overall pick, if he falls there, we're going to get Porter Martone? First of all, I'm not 100% sure he's going to be on the board at fifth. He could be. Definitely could be.
I'm also not sure the Predators won't take him either if he is there. Let's just be real. I mean,
Let's be real.
it depends who else is there. I mean, there's so much uncertainty at the top of this draft beyond number 1 and number 2
Yep.
that really, like, it's gonna depend a lot on, what Chicago and Utah do. And, Chicago, when we talked to Jack from Locked On Blackhawks, what he said is really kind of in line with a lot of what I've seen, from mocks and other things like that, that Chicago seems really high on Anton Frondell. So, like, if we want to say that he's going to Chicago at number 3, okay. Maybe then at number 4, that's Utah's the kind of the wild card here.
They are.
Because
Yeah.
you really don't know what they're gonna do, and so I think that has led to a lot of question about, I've seen the reason that I say I'm not totally sure Nashville's not gonna take Martone if he's there is because I've seen so many mock draft, like we've talked about it. It's like I've seen James Higgins going at number 2 and I've seen him going at number 9. And
Right.
so it's like that's how much I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And so I think that the Predators just need to have their draft or their internal like draft board where, like, okay, take all the players, you rank them, and you got to stick to it no matter who is available to you at number 5. If you genuinely believe, if you're Barry Trotz, if you believe that Porter Martone is a better player and a better fit than James Higgins, and they're both available to you at number 5, and you take Porter Martone, that's fine. You're still getting a tremendous player, like I said, elite scoring ability, but you better have a darn good reason, a darn good explanation for the fans and for everyone else as to why you did not pick a center.
Yes. We asked Barry Trotz this question. Specifically, it came up about Porter Martone. If Porter Martone is on the board, how are you going to decide talent versus position? And this is what Barry Trotz had to say in that kind of scenario.
Well, there's a little bit more, probably a little bit more need, but if that player is available, we're going to look at the best player. And if there's a big discrepancy, then position won't matter. But if there's very little, then we'll probably go a little more position. That's all.
Here's what I think how this aligns with our specific situation with the Predators and the draft. Like you said, there is so much chaos at the top of the draft. This would be so fun to watch if we had the 21st pick. It's not that fun to be in when you are picking 5. But he talks about if there is a large distinction between players, then you pick the best player. I don't think at 5, for as great, and hear me, Porter Martone is great. I don't think that he is so much more great a winger than, say, James Higgins is a center, or even I would say Desnoyers, some of these options that are available as centers. I think it would be a very tough pill for the fan base to swallow to say, we went through 84 years of that and we got the 5th overall pick and we didn't get a center. There is a void at center, and you want to see Barry Trotz walk away with a center with this 5th overall pick. I personally would be very surprised to see them pick Martone, although, friends, it's drafting. Would you be shocked if they picked Martone?
Honestly, nothing shocks me with this team anymore. I mean, like, I don't know, 84 years, man. Nothing shocks me.
We're not the same people we once were.
They could probably pick someone I've never heard of at number 5, and I'd be like, okay, sure,
Okay.
sure, and so
That's
I
our
think
draft philosophy. Sure.
just my philosophy when it comes to this team. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
No, but I think it's like I wouldn't to go back to the original question. I would not be shocked if they picked Martone. And I
Mhm.
also, for the record, I wouldn't be upset if
Mhm.
they picked Martone either. I wouldn't say like, how could you pick a scrub like Porter Martone? That's not what anyone is saying here. I think
No.
that it's again, if you are the Predators scouting staff and you've made your internal draft board and you've made your lists and everything, and you have determined for reasons X, Y, and Z that Porter Martone is a better player, a better pick at number 5 than say a James Higgins or a Desnoyers or whoever, whatever of the centers we've discussed are still there, then that's fine. You just need to communicate what those reasons are. And also, if you're drafting Porter Martone based on his elite scoring ability, you better get someone who's going to give him the puck. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Here is my thing. I don't think you can be disappointed. I agree with you. If they say Porter Martone, you cannot be disappointed in that because Barry Trotz said this, and I believe this is 100% true. And I think this is across the board something that draft scouts, scouting departments, NHL pundits believe. You are going to get a very good player with the 5th overall pick in this draft. You are. Here is my thing. If they choose Porter Martone, don't be disappointed because you are getting a very good player. But I also secretly will be like, you better have a deal for Marco Rossi up your sleeve. Like, I'm going to need you to get a center one way or
Yeah,
another.
because
So
you
that's
can't.
where I'm at.
Yeah, because you can't bank on like getting a center in next year's draft. Like you can't bank on anything. So
No.
it's like you need to have a plan in place.
Yeah.
Um whether it's Marco Rossi, whether it's funny to me because I've been in the show that I host for the Hockey News covering the NHL at large. I've talked to different writers from all of the different divisions this week, and almost every one of them has said, yeah, my team, whatever team they're covering, has been linked to Noah Dobson on defense and they've been linked to Marco Rossi. I'm like, oh, honey, who hasn't? Like,
I
I mean,
mean,
it's just
really.
the time of year that we're at right now. So it's like, it's hard to know how much of this is just smoke and mirrors. But I think that, yeah, like if you get Martone, you're still getting a tremendous player,
Mhm.
but you need to have a plan and you
Yes.
need to communicate what the plan is.
That would be so great. That
Wouldn't
would
it?
be so great. It would. Coming up, the Nashville Predators could use that 5th overall pick to drastically improve their roster. And that may mean skipping Martone, Higgins, and Desnoyers altogether. Friends, how likely is it really that the Preds use their first round picks or picks in this draft for a quote, ready now player? We're going to talk about the odds of that happening coming right up. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Do you ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning for a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is so much more than just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all of your accounts, all of your investments, and your spending in one place. So, in addition to managing your money, you are also building wealth. If you share finances with someone, Monarch Money is a great tool for financial collaboration. You can track shared accounts and stay focused on your shared financial goals. So, take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code locked on NHL for half off your first year. All right, Emma, so many questions about this draft. Who is going to be available at 5 and what are 3 and 4 going to do for the love? One of the questions that people have is Barry Trotz in this 5th overall pick. And so, of course, Barry Trotz was asked, you've got some premium picks in this draft. Are you even considering combining some of these picks for maybe a top ready now player? This is what Barry Trotz had to say.
I'm all for it if the right situation comes. It seems that there's I'm trying to do that. Everybody's in this mode, I think, this week of trying to assess what they can get, what they can give up. As you get closer to the draft, it'll be a lot clearer. There's teams that have cap situation that they want to clear up because, they might be in the win now mode and they want to make another big move. They may, there's things that I'm not even thinking of that may come our way. So, yeah, I'm open to that. If someone wants to needs picks and wants to move past a really good player, I'm all in for that. I never turn my nose up at any good player. So, but everybody's looking for players right now, which is, that just tells you what the parity in the NHL is right now.
The sentence that jumps out to me is everybody's looking for good players right now. And I love what you said. Everybody has been linked to Noah Dobson and Marco Rossi. Why? Because there's not a lot of really great players out there that are available. And while Barry Trotz does have valuable draft capital, he's got the 5th overall pick. He's got a couple other picks in the second half of the first round. He's got an early second round pick. Like Nashville has a lot of draft capital. To make a deal, you've got to have a partner. And I think it's not so much about is Barry Trotz willing to part with some of this draft capital. It is who is willing to part with a ready now player in exchange for draft capital. That, I think, is the part that's so tricky. Do you think they would trade the 5th overall pick in any sort, packaged in any which way for a player? Do you think that's realistic?
Never say never.
Mm-hmm.
I could see, I'm not reporting this based on anything that I've heard. It's just pure speculation and observation. If there was a scenario in which, like the Islanders, for example, they're picking at number 1. They're probably going to take Matthew Schaefer, but they've also been interested in James Higgins, for example. What if Higgins falls to, or, what if Higgins is still there at number 5 and the Islanders really want him? I'm not saying they do. I genuinely don't know. But like if they really want him and they call Barry Trotz and say, hey, we'll give you Noah Dobson, that's a scenario where I could say, okay, well, that is a great player that fills a need on Nashville's roster. They really need to fix the blue line, and Noah Dobson would be a tremendous step in the right direction toward doing that. So but it's like very specific scenarios where I could see it. I don't think Barry Trotz is out there like, number 5 pick, who wants it? Like, I don't think he's dangling it out there, but I think that he's always been very open about that. It's like, I'll take the phone call. Like,
For sure.
tell me what you got. And, that doesn't mean that he's just sitting there like open for business, but I think that, he likes to explore all of his options. So I feel like, though, the key here is that if he were going to trade the number 5 overall pick, it would be because another team really wanted it, as opposed to Barry Trotz being the instigator of it. Like, hey, we'll give you the 5th overall pick for this. I think it would have to be the other team saying like, hey, we really want the 5th overall pick. Tell us what you want. Kind of thing.
It's going to be Barry answering the phone, not Barry dialing the phone. I agree with you
Yes.
100%. And I think you're right in the sense that stars would have to align for something to materialize that makes sense for both parties. Because here is what we can say. The Nashville Predators have to come away from this draft with, whether it is a now piece or a future piece, they need to come away with talent down the center, and they have to do something defensively. They have to either restock the pipeline with some quality defensive picks or make a move where they bring in a pick that's going to shore up the defense right now. They have to do that. Now, they're also interested in a goaltender. So they're going to be looking at different positions. But I agree with you. I think it would take a very specific deal from another team to Barry Trotz. I don't think Barry Trotz is out there going, I want to turn this 5th overall pick into a ready now player. I think he will be very happy to select a high quality center or a Porter Martone or, something like that. And even with, we're going to talk about this on tomorrow's show, some, the later first round picks too, he may be very content to make those selections for Nashville's future as well. But I think those are always the glamorous things we talked about. Do you remember when the draft was in Nashville and the rumor mill was going that he was like, anybody want Yaroslav Askarov? My bad. It's just drama, GM drama cauldron. They're just fancier than ours, but they're about the same size. So I think there's a lot of conversation, but I think when it comes draft time, it would take such a very specific deal to make that make sense for him. I don't know. Coming up, there is one thing that we want to keep front and center as we get closer to draft night for the Nashville Predators. Barry Trotz said it best. We're going to share his words with you coming up. Today's episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports, friends, they are in full swing. And whether you are all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following all the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are out hanging out at the beach. You can use FanDuel to track your favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and it makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. New to FanDuel? That's great. New customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Emma, we have one more day of draft coverage, draft speculation. And then it's happening. It's happening, you all. I feel like Michael Scott in that GIF. It's happening. It's happening. And the office is going crazy. That's Emma and I. That's going to be us tomorrow. We are going to talk just a little more about the draft tomorrow, specifically kind of later rounds and what may happen a little further down in the draft for the Predators. And we'll give our final thoughts. We'll do a prediction. Feeling uncomfortable the whole time we do it. But there is something that I think we need to wrap up this episode with. And this is something that you and I have said over and over again on the show. But I think that it bears repeating just maybe one more time as we get ready for the draft. And that is the wizardry of scouting and what we are asking Barry Trotz and Jeff Kelty and the Nashville Predators hockey ops staff to do. Barry Trotz, I think, he said it best in the press conference on Tuesday. This is what he had to say about what it means to pick a player at the NHL draft.
Everything's projection. These kids are at different stages. They're 18 years old. Some 18-year-olds develop physically a little quicker than other 18-year-olds. Some have a little more personality. Some come from different countries. You take all that into account and you try to see the player 5 years down the road, and that's a not an easy thing to do because there's everything from, you know, the natural growth of as young men, growing into men and then growing into, you know, professional hockey players, and all the different sort of pressures that come with that, be it expectations, family, agents, teams, all the friends, social media, all those things affect players a little differently. So you're looking for a player that can handle hopefully all that and grow and become a really good player.
The scouting department, Barry Trotz, they spend years watching these players. They do everything short of going through their trash like a raccoon. They don't do that, but they come very close to overturning every stone with these players. But in the end, Emma, you are drafting an 18-year-old and saying, this is what I think this player will be 5 years from now. And that blew my mind hearing him say it like that Tuesday, because I think I know this will be shocking to our listeners, I am not a professional athlete. I could not predict 5 years out what I will and won't be capable of. And so I think as we go into the draft tomorrow night, remember they are 18-year-old men, young men. Remember that they are not done. They are not fully formed, leaping from the brow of Zeus, and that they are people. So if they perhaps pick Porter Martone, just throwing this out there, you all can do what you want. Maybe don't rage about it on Twitter, because he's an 18-year-old kid and they are trying to figure out what this young 18-year-old kid who wants to excel in the hardest league in the world is going to be doing 5 years from now. Maybe just throwing that out there.
I mean, look, no, everyone passed on Roman Yossi because he was just a spindly little kid from Switzerland and, you know, didn't know what he was going to do. So it just, yeah, like they are children. They're children. And
Baby sprouts.
it kills me this time of year how suddenly everyone on the internet is a draft expert. And listen, I'm not even saying that I'm a draft expert. In fact, I'm saying I'm not. And I'm not going to go out and start spouting things like, if you draft this 18-year-old child over this 18-year-old child, then what are you even doing? It's like, you know, like Roman Yossi at 18, very different than Roman Yossi now. So just
Yes.
putting that into perspective. I know for myself, I was a very different person at 18 than I am now. So let's maybe have some perspective here and just understand that, you know, it's not an exact science.
Yeah. It's so, I always say wizardry. There is a crystal ball that they pack full of information, but at the end of the day, you make your best prediction. And that is all you can go with. All you can do is make your best guess. And again, you're looking 5 years down the road. We are not looking at a pick at 5. I don't know that you're looking at a pick anywhere at the top of the draft that's going to jump into the NHL next season. Like, I don't necessarily think Matthew Schaefer is. I don't know that Michael Misa necessarily is. They could, perhaps. But you're not looking at a pick at 5 that is going to come in and light it up centering Steven Stamkos. So just they're going to do the best they can with the information that they have. And let's see what happens. The other thing that's happening after the draft, development camp. Friends, it is my favorite week of the year. I love development camp. It's a great time to kind of check in with some of the prospects in the pipeline that we don't get to see play regularly. Emma, we're going to, of course, talk about Dev Camp next week when we're there. But just off the top of your head, is there a player that you're most excited to see next week come back to Nashville and kind of check in with?
You know, I'm a big Andrew Gibson fan. I've always
Love
been high
him.
on Andrew Gibson. Really looking forward to seeing him. We always look forward to seeing Kaylin Lind here in Nashville as well. I mean, how could you not?
How could you not?
I will say Joey Willis is another one
Mhm.
who I'm looking for at fresh on his new contract as well. I'm really glad they got him signed. He had a really good year at junior, and looking forward to talking with him too. So
Yeah,
honestly, all of them,
I know.
they're all fun. They're all
They
just little
are.
babies.
They are. They're just little special. I love Andrew Gibson. Thoroughly enjoy, just kind of watching him obviously play. But he is. I was so impressed with him just as a young man talking to the media and stuff. He really knocked my socks off just as a person last year. So I'm excited to talk to him. Girl, for me, it's Aiden Fink. It's Aiden Fink.
Oh yeah.
It's Aiden Fink. Of course, Penn State hockey player. I'm there. Went to the Frozen Four. This first time that program has made it to the Frozen Four, and he had a great sophomore season, which sometimes you never know what you're going to get after a great freshman season. So I'm totally
And he
jazzed.
was Hobie Baker finalist too, wasn't he?
He was. That's my boy. He's not really. We hardly know each other, but he is one that I'm super excited to see. And Igor Surin, who, yes, we know he signed a year contract to go back to Russia and play next season. I don't think that that's something that the Nashville Predators were like, what? I saw some
Literally
people on the
one more year. Like, I
one
don't
more
know
year.
why people are upset about that.
Yeah, I saw some people were like, I can't believe this. And I'm like, no, it's okay. But I'm excited to see him. He was a joy and a delight.
Is he going to
last
be at Dev Camp? Do we know?
I I I am curious to see. We haven't seen the official roster yet, but he is traveling around.
Okay.
So we'll see if he makes it here or not. I don't know. But I
Mm.
hope he does. Total delight.
He
Like,
is. He's
he's
so
a
fun.
delight. There's some really good young players in the pipeline. Fun to talk to. Great to kind of see from one year to the next what changes. So a lot coming up, friends. Draft tomorrow night, Saturday, Dev Camp Monday. Like, we're getting back into the swing of things, and we'll know facts next week. Won't be welcome to Locked On Speculation. It's me. Welcome to Locked On Facts. It's going to be so great. Of course, on tomorrow's show, we're going to make our final predictions. We're going to talk about some picks the Preds may be interested in a little further down that first round, and get ready for the big party, the big to-do in our GM's Lie shirts. That'll be a next year thing. We're workshopping it. Emma, before we log off today, let everyone know where they can find you and your work.
You can find me on social media at Emma_Lingan, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at @AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Friends, that's going to do it for this Thursday edition of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks again for making us your first listen of the day. We will be back tomorrow to kick off your NHL Draft Day. We'll see you then.